EGM Network.
Welcome to Scouted Treasure Coast. On this show, we talk about the business people, artisans, and community stewards of the Treasure Coast that are making a difference. Today, we're going to talk about Vintage Florida. My guest is Alison Manship of Stuart Vintage Furniture. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I feel fancy. I've never done anything like this.
So, how did you get into, I know, you worked at Matilda's for a long time.
I did.
With Dana, for Dana Small.
Yeah.
You were there for how long?
12 years,
okay.
But there was babies and COVID and stuff in between.
Okay.
But
so how did Stuart Vintage Furniture come about?
So when I first moved here, I was so inspired by our lifestyle and the colors, and then some of my absolute favorite designers, Meg Braff and Daniel Rollins, they all incorporate vintage in their design. So I've always just admired the layering of textiles and color and just a little bit of burnt bamboo and, old Florida mixed in. And I realized that there's no one in the Treasure Coast that does what I do. Obviously, if you go down to Palm Beach, every other, corner is something that, has vintage, which is, of course, $1 million. But we do things a little different on the Treasure Coast. So I'm trying to, give people the opportunity to get, vintage greatness at a good price. And
so tell our viewers a little bit about what it is that you do. So how do you go about sourcing everything in your store?
So the sourcing part is, of course, the fun part. And it's something that all my customers come in and say, oh my gosh, this would be my dream to do this. And, I would just love to travel around and thrift and blah, blah, blah. And so it is a big part of it. I travel all over the state and beyond. When I first started, I had a really, really ugly van. When you think of like the ugly, scary van that you wouldn't want to follow you, that was my first van. And I'd usually have my now almost 6-year-old was about 3, and he'd be in the passenger seat in his car seat, and we would just travel around and go to estate sales and auctions, antique shows. Most of the time, the best finds are just along the way.
Right.
He'd always be like, are we going to get furnitures today? And then I'd always say, well, how many adventures are we going to go on? And we just kind of, all of a sudden I'd see a sign for some random thrift place or garage sale. And, we'd go and he'd always get a free toy. So he loved it. Right. And now I travel a little bit of a better van. Not a huge jump up, but, not quite as scary. And now my best friend and I do a lot of it.
I think I saw you on Instagram. You were in
Mount Dora.
That was right.
We were in Mount Dora. Which is an adorable town. If you've never been there, they have a huge flea market. It's like their extravaganza they do a few times a year. Right. And my assistant and I went, and it poured rain and was 30 degrees the whole time we were there, windy and crazy. And luckily for us, that means a lot of people didn't go. So we sort of had first dibs. And, the vendors were all trying to get out of there because they were miserable.
Right.
So we just cleaned up and got so many amazing things. And then we come home and clean them up very thoroughly. And, a lot of brass polish and silver polish. And
you paint some of the stuff too, right?
I do. Okay. Yeah. So I'll paint a lot of the wicker and some of the smaller pieces. But I do work with a professional painter who does the high gloss lacquer, which is a very complicated process. And there's not many people who do it. So he's amazing. He turns things around quickly for me. We'll do custom pieces for people. If I'm doing a design, like a full room design, then we'll do some custom pieces. But I do a lot of it myself. I have a big, I'm in a dress by day, and then I'm in my painting clothes before and after, which is why my hours are limited, because I'm sourcing and I'm, in my workshop. I have a huge workshop behind this shop, my warehouse.
So what created this interest?
To be perfectly honest, I decided to open my business in just a couple days. I was like sick of working for other people. No offense, Dana. I was just sick of working for other people. I had 2 little kids, and I just wanted to do something on my own. I've always had people tell me that they loved my style, that I had an eye for things, and I'm creative in, a lot of different ways, sort of
Right.
jack of all trades, for
Right.
lack of a better term. But so I kind of do it all.
Now, did you grow up antiquing and stuff? I guess that's really what I was asking. Did you grow up
Yes.
antiquing?
So I actually did. I grew up in a colonial home in Connecticut.
Okay.
And my parents, we had a home in Vermont, and we used to travel all over antiquing because my parents loved it. And they used to buy each other antiques for their anniversary. And we would just go to all these fascinating places. And you meet such interesting people when you're antiquing too.
Yeah.
I love the stories and the history of it. And, so yeah. So we had just a beautiful home. And I've always loved the hunt, finding something interesting and meeting interesting people.
Do you find, every area has its different highlights and its different, characteristics or personality. What do you find interesting about the antique and vintage pieces that you find on the Treasure Coast?
So the thing that I fell in love with in Florida and the Treasure Coast is our vibrant colors and our environment. I love flowers and color. I've always needed to have stimulus around me. And there's so many, we're an old historic,
right,
community. So you'll find things that are treasures, and they were their grandparents' treasures or whatever. But, I love to do it all.
What are the specific, like design period, there's different periods where, they wanted like the checkers, and then you have, the chairs with the crosses on the back, or they're much more,
they're Chippendale chairs, or it's kind of a chinoiserie Oriental look that has, came to Palm Beach.
Okay.
And it's just sort of defined that Palm Beach preppy old Florida look.
So the Oriental, I understand, is back.
Yes, it is.
So what are some of the, which is interesting because they say, you have something, wait another 20 to 30 years, it'll be back in style.
Well, true.
So what do you find right now is the big, driving the demand?
So it was, I would say, 5 years ago, everything was white and colorful and everything. But right now, people are really bringing back some of the darker woods as well.
I like that.
Which is, it's a big thing that I do in my shop. Is it's not just piled up wicker and rattan and that needs fixing. And I really curate the shop so you can see how the dark goes with the white and goes with the lacquer and goes with bright pillows. And you can really bring them all together to make a beautiful space. So you can use, pieces that your mom or your grandma gave you that I'm sure you hated when you were in your 20s, but now you're like, I really wish I had, and I hear it all the time, oh, I really wish I had kept this. And, you can't keep everything forever, but so it comes back around and it's just a really layered look that's luxurious, but super personal. And that, I just love it. I want people to have a more personal space.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any of the antiques or anything that you grew up with?
So I don't. They are all in my mother's condo in Jupiter. It was unreal how many antiques we packed into that condo and made the most beautiful historical space. There's a corner hutch that has a Post-it on the back of it with my name on it.
Okay.
My mom's like, would you stop doing that? And I was like, well, the corner hutch is mine. But, and then we added some textiles that were Florida, really traditional toiles, but, brought in some of the really pretty French blues and greens that, made it look Palm Beach.
What is one of your go-to places here on the Treasure Coast that you go looking for treasures?
So we are about 2 miles from it. Is one of my favorites. Is the Wildwood Antique Mall.
Okay.
If you've never been there, it is so much fun. Bring something to drink and something to eat because you will be there for hours.
It's in Vero?
It's in Vero.
Okay, so west or?
It's south.
Okay.
Yeah, on US 1 was that? I don't even know the road I was on.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with Vero that much. But
Okay.
I know I go right to the Wildwood because it's so much fun. And it is, I mean, they're all individual vendors who are selling things. So it's not a huge source place for me because things have already been marked up. And that's not really profitable for me. I'm not going to,
Mm-hmm.
but I just love it. There's all these little curated spaces. And, sometimes I will find things that they didn't know what it was.
Right.
Like I found a Limoges oyster plate and I mean, it was $10. So
Okay.
it's, but it's so much fun. So I recommend that. And then, I'm a weekend soldier too. I love garage sales.
That's what I was about to say. So is that what you do on the weekends? So you
Yes.
drive around
I
and
do.
visit St. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, Okeechobee is a great place
Yeah,
to source.
I bet it probably would be.
Yeah, because it's old,
Yeah.
and it's,
Yeah.
and people are happy to sell things and I'm happy to give the price they're asking. And so it's beneficial for fun. You know,
Do you feel that the vintage industry has kind of come back around? I mean, sometimes you go through where everybody wants new, and
Yeah.
then, it trends back where it's sort of, new mixed with old,
Mhm.
borrowed, that.
Yes, and it's supposed to just blow up in the next couple years because the younger generation, excuse me, the younger generation is really into it. And
Okay.
it's funny because
Is that
they
like a younger generation? So please,
Yeah.
give us like some
like
age.
20 and 30-year-olds.
Okay.
Because I'm 43 and my generation is getting into it as well.
All right.
And we were the new,
Right.
and now it's all coming back. And I have people all the time that love to thrift and but there's a lot that goes into it. So you have to make sure, you can, finish the whole thing. But yeah, I love 20 and 30-year-olds come into my shop all the time and tell me how much they love it and how they want to, when they get their house and they move out of their apartment, that they can't wait to do that. And so I inspire a lot of them, not to toot my own horn, but I inspire them. And then, of course, the people that really come in to shop are usually my age or, 50s and 60s.
And what do you feel that they're coming in to find?
Just unique things to fill their home with. I think people are really getting back to, wanting to add texture and color and soul into your house. I mean, we can't walk into every single house and it's just decorated in Serena and Lily, which is a beautiful catalog, but it's garbage furniture. But they, every house shouldn't be the same. It should be 100% your personality. So I always tell people to slow decorate. If you have a new place, you need a bed and a couch and a TV, and the rest of it you need to hunt for, and not that people with jobs can't do what I do,
Right.
but that's why I'm here, so I can curate it and help you add pieces to your home that have personality.
What do you think? I'm sure, when people come in, what are they, what is probably like the number one item, or let's say even if they're asking for a particular designer that they're looking for?
So a lot of people buy pillows and vintage artwork.
Do they know who the artists are, or are they just looking at the...
I don't usually know who the artists are. I mean, I'll go and collect vintage and antique frames that I love.
Okay.
And then I'll find artwork at random places, and it's this constant, my poor assistant, it's this constant jumble of like, all right, let's make sure what size all these frames are, and then all this artwork, and now let's all pair it up. And I do all my own framing, so I find really cool ways to mat artwork with grass cloth and color, and but so that's a big thing. I sell a lot of that. I also love to work with local artists. So
Okay.
I recently did an event last weekend with an amazing artist from Fort Lauderdale, who I met at Mardi Gras, which is something I love to go to.
What's their name?
Lori Duncan.
Okay.
And she has a studio in Fort Lauderdale, and she is a doll. And she came up to the shop and just brought her beautiful, beautiful pieces. And I still have a few in the shop that I love. They're very serene. But
What is her type? What is...
So, well, it's funny because the piece I have in the shop right now is called Serenity, and they're paintings of the ocean in
watercolors or just...
Yeah, well, I think she uses oils.
Okay.
But it's just, pictures of the ocean, not, with the palm tree and the tiki hut and all that crap. It's very soothing, beautiful artwork. She does some, preppy stuff too.
Uh-huh.
And, I don't know, I'm not preppy, I don't think, but, I do have a preppy look. Some people come in and want that Palm Beach lacquered look with all the colors and, simple lines. And I love doing that too. But, yeah. So,
when you do go down to Palm Beach, where do you go?
So I usually go down for inspiration, and my absolute favorite boutique is Meg Braff Designs.
Okay.
She has an amazing eclectic mix of new and olds. So she does a lot of what I do in her designs, and, tons of color and antique lighting next to her. She has her own lighting. She has her own fabrics, which I love. I use her fabrics a lot in design work because it's...
And what in particular?
So it's the colors. I mean, she does a lot of...
Not like the grass or...
No, it's just, it's just natural fibers, cottons and linens, but it's the color, she'll do a pattern that's palm trees, but it's not so literal. It's not that same, Beverly Hills hotel palm that you see over and over again. It's just beautiful corals and pinks, and, because I work with fabric houses from all over the world, but they're not in Florida, and her stuff just really resonates with our look here.
What is your favorite, wallpaper or textile?
So I love, I'm loving Philip Jeffries right now, and my poor rep, Megan Davis, who I love so much. She comes up to hang out with me all the time. But I love, they have grasses that are just the best. They are the best. And I was just recently at the Kips Bay Show House, and they used this one designer whose name escapes me, but she used my absolute favorite, Philip Jeffries. And then Tebow just came out with a new caning paper, which is stunning. Can't wait to use that in a project. Seems like it would have been done a lot, but it's really never been done in this way. Kelly Green on...
what makes it so special?
It's, grass cloth is textural and rich, but this is 3D, and it has the caning on top of another paper. Oh, so it really looks rich, and it looks like caned furniture, which of course I love.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's really cool. So that's their newest collection that I got. And I work with Schumacher. People love Schumacher. Sometimes I talk them out of it because it's really expensive. But some people come in and they know they want Schumacher, and then great. But I really like to find new fabric houses too. There's so many amazing new designers who do amazing looks, and they don't get, because people go in and they know like the top 3 fabric houses, and they go right to that. But I'm like, well, what about, this newcomer?
So what are some of your favorite newcomers?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I have a whole stack of them right now. I don't know. I can't really think. I can't pinpoint anybody, but I can tell you that I go down to the Hive Trade Room. Yeah. which is a beautiful showroom of fabrics, and they always showcase the newest, the newest lines.
Right.
And, so I try, and they always send me a box of collected, things that they know would work for my clients. One of the major differences, I think, with my shop and other shops that you go into, other furniture stores, is that I don't carry albums. So, when you go in to pick a fabric, they have a wall of a library with every type of wallpaper, fabric, whatever. Now, I know these companies have a collection, but usually about 75% of the collection I don't like for my aesthetic. So what I do instead is, and the companies want to send me the books, but I refuse. I don't want them. I have all my samples, wallpapers, fabrics are all by color, and they are just things I love. So it's kind of, I'm not going to, if you have a new build and you want to decorate in contemporary and black onyx and glass, I'm not your girl, and I know some designers can just do everything, and I don't. I like to do what I like. And, if you're drawn to the aesthetic of the store, most likely you'll like the fabrics. And I mean, usually I have someone come in, they're like, oh, I want a wallpaper, and this is the room, and this is and I'll say, okay, these are the 3 that I think are the best. And usually they pick one of those.
Okay.
So, when they come in and they're doing blues, I show them the blues, and those are my favorite patterns. So
what do you, I know, green's coming back, yellow's coming back. So what are some of the other colors that you're seeing as well?
Well, green and yellow I love, because so many people have a blue and white home, which I'm a blue and white girl through and through. I don't think you could ever it's never going to go out of style.
Right.
It's the perfect traditional colorway. And I hear that a lot, that their homes are blue and white. So what I love to do is pop in green or yellow or coral. I have a lot of people using fuchsia again and layering that with greens and blues and whites. But I love that you can pop in a trendy color. I mean, green also is a very, traditional color, but, emerald green isn't like, it's Kelly green that people love right now.
Really?
And in a lot of fabrics. So what I usually tell people is get a pillow that has blue, white, and Kelly green in it, because you can always get a new pillow when the trend dies. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wouldn't say go out and get a, $10,000 velvet Kelly green sofa, because if you hate it in a couple of years, everyone else is going to hate it in a couple of years too. So there's, but if you love it, then great, keep it there. But whenever people are going for trendy new colors, I always recommend popping accessories. Like I just got this amazing, huge ginger jar in just bright yellow, sunny yellow. And, it looks great.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved yellow. I think it's the happiest color.
Right, it is.
And people don't, I have all these amazing wallpapers and fabrics in yellows, and people don't buy them. They don't, but I have been having more custom pillows made with yellows, and I will sell them from the shop, but people won't do too much with them because they're worried it'll tire. And husbands tend not to like yellow.
Really?
Which is funny. Yeah, they're like, oh, my husband would kill me if I use this. I'm like, really?
Interesting.
Yeah, well, men are fickle characters as far as design goes.
So what are some of the, what are some plans that you have or might have with the store that you're looking to do in the future? So
during COVID, I actually started designing my own furniture line.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I named it Manship Fine Furniture, which that was a shame because I'm stuck with it. But I designed, I had a dining room table made for my home, and I had a couple coffee tables made for friends. I asked everyone on the Treasure Coast if they knew someone that would turn wood, which is the way you make, beautiful spindles out of solid wood. And I couldn't find anybody, so I'm still looking. But I have a guy in South Carolina that turns me these beautiful legs that just have really heavy, solid spindles.
Right.
And then I have a fabricator here that does the tops, and then we get them lacquered, and they're beautiful. So when I opened the store, I knew eventually I'd want to integrate Manship Fine Furniture into the shop. And that's something I'm going to do in the next couple of months. I have some legs being turned, and I'm going to have, a sample table in the shop and they can be custom done in any lacquer you
Coffee
want.
tables, like starting to do like custom coffee tables.
I'll probably have a dining room table first.
Okay.
Because one of the things I love is you can have it whatever size you want. And that's one of the things that's so great about bespoke pieces is like we have in my house, I have a smaller kitchen and it can fit 6, my dining room table, but it's not going to encumber the space. Too many people buy these dining room tables that are, unless you're having 12-person dinner parties every weekend, they really take up too much space in your home. But yeah, so I'm hoping that I can, I'm going to bring one of those in, and then I'll probably have some signature colors that I'll lacquer them in for people and custom sizes. And, I think that that'll be really fun. I know that there's not many people that do that.
No.
And it's a very specific look.
Yes.
And so when I, soft launched it by, posting a couple tables I had a lot of interior designers reach out to me.
Oh, good.
And they're like, please, as soon as you really get this up and running,
yep.
Reach out to me, because they have a lot of clients that are looking for that look.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So like the dining room tables, coffee tables, end tables.
Yes. But, they're going to be the type of pieces, they're very, very heavy and very well made, obviously on the Treasure Coast.
What kind of wood are you using?
So it depends, because right now we are sampling a couple different turned woods, and you really have to use something that accepts lacquer a certain way, because a lot of woods either have too much grain in them or they kind of fight the lacquer, and they can be, lacquer needs to be smooth and hard.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely get that perfected before I bring them into the store. But the thing with the tables I want to make is they're just heavy and they're forever pieces, and they're traditional. So they're traditional enough where you can repaint them time and time again, pass them to your kids, and, try to be a little more sustainable. We do have, I'm a tree hugger big time, but we do have just this throwaway furniture culture that we're in is terrible. People find, again, they decorate their whole home in throwaway pieces.
Right.
And a lot of these companies are intentionally designing it or manufacturing it in a way where you have to replace it in 2 or 3 years.
Well, that's kind of what society, it used to be.
Yeah.
When you first got your phone, phones are like the perfect example, which you can't live without your phone now because everything's on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only there, 5 years at the most, 6 years, that's an old phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think that's kind of goes with the territory that everything is.
Well, and it's like Apple, they don't take your old phones. No. And they should.
Right.
Because you think about the kind of waste that goes into that. I don't know. The way I always look at it is I'm like, oh, you just throw your old phone in the ocean. It should be more sustainable. So, if I design pieces that are going to stand the test of time, right, even if they end up at a garage sale, someone will scoop it up and it's, it's not going to break down.
It's going to go have another life somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like sofa companies. And I grew up with Pottery Barn and all that stuff. And when they first had sofas, they would stand the test of time. Yes. They were the sofa that you would buy, and they would last a long time. And now I'm finding people are buying Pottery Barn or even Restoration Hardware, and within 2 years they're coming to me to reupholster them. Or a lot of times I'll add foam to the bottom cushion. Yeah. Because they're like all of a sudden they're a hammock. Yeah. And it looks terrible. It's not comfortable. Right. So yeah.
Anything else you can tell us about, like, other than starting to make your furniture? Mm-hmm. Is there any other plans or anything that you want to do or accomplish on the horizon?
So I'm sort of a fly by the seat of my pants person, which is funny because when I started, everyone's like, well, what's your long-term business plan? I'm like, I don't know. I'm a creative, and that's where it's hard when you own a boutique, is that you're not just doing the fun stuff. Right. I get stuck at my computer and I'm like, can someone come do this? Right. But if you're a youngish, poor person who started a store from nothing, then you do it all yourself. It's long hours, and people ask me all the time, oh, this must be so fun. This is my dream job. And I always tell people, I'm like, okay, well, get ready to work 6 days a week,
Yeah.
12 hours a day, get real dirty. I just broke my foot moving a dresser,
Right.
get ready to do a lot.
Right.
I mean, I'm like, I did hire a bookkeeper.
Okay, good.
I did show her my bag of receipts.
Okay.
And she was like, ooh, we don't need those. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I had this big Bahamas woven bag filled with receipts, like hundreds and hundreds of receipts.
At least you're saving them.
I wasn't filing them, but who has time for that? But yeah, so I think I just want to keep, the store is ever evolving, which is one of the really fun things I'm always telling clients and shoppers is every time you come in, the shop is different.
Yeah.
I mean, not day to day, but usually every week or every 2 weeks, we move everything around in the store, or I'll sell, like I just sold a ton of stuff this last week. So that was great. But all of a sudden, I've got the front half of my store almost, looks pretty empty.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, as we speak, I've got a painter delivering a few pieces this afternoon. My upholsterer is coming with a bunch of cushions and pillows. And, we're just constantly making it
good.
New again.
New again, yeah.
New again.
That's good.
And I mean, really, when it comes to new, it's fabrics and wallpaper, and you have to have a new sofa. Nobody wants a vintage sofa. People need to stop trying to sell them because it's gross.
Yeah.
To me, it's like a used mattress. No, I don't want your old sofa, especially if it's a pullout. But yeah, so it's just ever evolving, and hopefully I'll bring in my new furniture, but month to month, the trends come, and I've always been a little ahead of the trends, which is, I'll say like, oh my gosh, everything has to be yellow or something. And then everyone's like, no, it doesn't. And then the next month, everyone's like, I need more yellow or something. So I do try to kind of keep ahead of that, but I don't research it. It's just kind of what I love, which is changes all the time. In a year from now, I could look at this pink ruffly dress and say, what was I thinking? Yeah. But for now, I think it's fabulous. So anyway, so yeah, it's gonna evolve and change with me.
How long have you been there now?
2 years next week.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Happy early anniversary.
Yeah, they say, 2 years, if you're still there, it's looking good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm hoping in the third year, maybe I'll make some money.
Okay.
But it's amazing. So 2 years, we'll probably go to, usually I have parties in the shop. And my husband said that I have the shop so I can have parties.
Okay.
Which is, it's a perk, Yeah. And I do love to do events at the shop, so I'll do more of those. Okay. I do tend to do them more in the summer and off season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and I have so many people, seasonal people that want me to do events, but that is Sunday at my house is family fun day. That's what we call it. So my kids wake up Sunday and they're like, is it family fun day? So Sunday is my day, and that's usually when that's usually when I would need to do events. But in the summer, I will take more time off, and then we'll do some events on Sundays and evenings. I have some really cool ones lined up.
Perfect.
I have a shell workshop.
We have to share those with Alex. Yes. We can get them on the calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If I can set a date, then we'll do.
Perfect.
Because usually I have a long list of people that I reach out to because they're all on my call me when you're doing an event.
Right.
So sometimes they don't even make it to social media, which is when I first did a few. I'd put it on social media and they would book up really fast.
Right.
But now I almost have to. I'm like booking them. So if you want to come to events, email me, come into the store, get on the events list, so that way I can.
I think Jesse has your website up as well, so people can go to your website to find out more about Stuart Vintage. And that's about all the time that we have today.
Okay, well, this
but
is
I want
so
to thank
fun.
you too for being in the Scout Guide Volume 2. You can pick up your copy at Stuart Vintage Furniture as well. And any other of our locations of our member locations on the Treasure Coast, McKee Botanical Gardens, the Children's Museum, Jetsons, Mergado Auto Group. Anyways, Alison, thank you for coming and sharing with us today.
Yeah, thank you for scouting me. I'm, honored to be among the best of the best in the kind of who's who on the Treasure Coast. And
Well, I appreciate it.
thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Awesome.
So, if you want to learn more about Scouted Treasure Coast, please go to our website. It's www.The Scout Guide Treasure Coast, or find us on Instagram at The Scout Guide Treasure Coast. And with that, I will see you next week on our next episode of Scouted Treasure Coast. Have a good one.